Hello, it's Scott Manley here, and we're back with Elite Dangerous. I still have 18 hours worth of travel back from the core. If you remember, I last parked my asp at the point 2,000 light years below Sagittarius A, and now I begin the long journey home. But thankfully, due to the magic of editing, you don't need to watch me actually travel for 18 hours, because that would be rather tedious, as I slowly lost my mind. No, instead you get to watch everything in super fast style. For example, I could just edit together all these hyperspace sequences so you can see what happens as I fly further out. It does have a certain kind of rhythm to it. I thought I could maybe put some beats over this and start rapping, or I could just let the hyperspace sequence complete and then, perhaps show you where I had come from. There we go. That is the route that I'd taken back. So it's about 35,000 light years, I believe, from the Sagittarius A core. And I'm kind of hoping that on the way back that I would discover some notable locations. And indeed I did. I even recorded some of them, such as Hypiophlia Ekbe Debate 1, Hypiophlia and that one, Drea Pre Wekze and Drea Pre Ekde D12 1 and 2. There was Grea Fio XVU and Grea Hypue Kyle, Grea Hypue Avka, Grea Hypue Zub, and Blau Hypue Imha. Eodgals Rodge and Grea Theo Pg, which just happened to be near this nice nebula. Now this is a procedurally generated nebula, but it did lie pretty much exactly on my route into returning home, into the outer Milky Way, I was gonna say. So of course, that does give me an excuse for lots of these gratuitous nebula shots. Using that debug camera, they call it a debug camera, they just really don't want to have third-person views in this game because, immersion and all that. Yeah, as you come out of the core, you really get into this nebula field. Mostly these are procedurally generated nebula with very dull kind of procedurally generated names. And as you get closer, they get larger. Some of them are emission nebula, some of them are absorption nebula. But all of them are, pretty to look at, let's say. I mean, in all these gratuitous shots, it's worth noting that Frontier uses their own Cobra game engine, and they can of course get deep down and tune everything. It does, Elite does get to do a lot of things that other games can't necessarily do, and the graphics of it do look different. It isn't a game that is full of browns in the same way. Well, I guess it's full of oranges, and orange is kind of brown, isn't it? Yes, for everybody that's going to comment about changing the color of the HUD by editing the config, no, I'm not going to do that because it breaks the billboards, right? I don't want to have everyone looking like Andorians from Star Trek, do I? No, the orange HUD is the way that Braben intended, and therefore I shall keep it like that. Anyway, I decided to park on the rim of a crater in the middle of this nebula. Grea Theo Kissel C23 something or other. Very nice gazing up into this section of the sky here. I'm presuming with all those bright stars that this is probably a star-forming region centered on that nebula. Some nebula, like the Crab Nebula, are the remains of obliterated stars, but many nebula are actually star-forming region where the nebula has, of course, basically gas and dust that is collapsing together and forming new stars, new planets, new everything, perhaps new life and new civilizations will one day call this home. But home is where I'm trying to go, and it's a long way away. There are a few more nebula in the region. There's Bla Hypa AAA from Alcoholics Anonymous Association. I've heard that some nebula do in fact have alcohol in them, ethanol to be specific. And of course ethanol is the one that counts. You don't want the other alcohols, they tend to be bad for you. Anyway, yeah, we are in a giant nebula field and there is many to be seen. That actually looks like a galaxy up there. I believe that's on the skybox. It's kind of interesting to imagine that the Milky Way has a skybox. It's just a very much bigger skybox than is normally used. And it's worth noting, as you turn back towards the core, how much brighter everything is there. In this direction, it's much easier to see those absorption nebula, the dark clouds, the clouds that are blocking the light, and perhaps hiding crippled starships that will use the confusing nature of the nebula and their enemies' misunderstanding of three-dimensional combat to finally strike the blow that will bring them victory at the cost of their friend. I, on the other hand, am just passing through. 12,700 light years to go. That's more than halfway there, and I'm starting to feel hopeful. Blah Hippia AA is ahead of me. And now as we look back towards the core, you can see it looks a whole lot more orange. And that's because dust in the galactic disk really serves to make everything darker and redder. It's one of the hard things to kind of see through as you're passing through the galaxy. Looking out towards the edge, we're now no longer greeted by the disk of the galaxy. We can see this big black region. The nebula we are approaching isn't purple and bright. This one is dark and foreboding. But all the same, it has a beauty of its own that leads to many, many more beauty passes. Trust me, it's better that you're seeing the beauty passes, because otherwise it's just me hyperspacing for hours and hours and slowly losing my mind and maybe, talking about obscure music to pass the time. Of course, a nebula meant another stop for some postcards. And given that we are thousands of light years from human space, they didn't even have a postcard shop. So I had to do one of those terrible digital things where I take some pictures and then, do some Snapchat filters on top. Say, wish you were here thousands of miles away from home, because it's really lonely out here. All I have is my friend, the mountain in the background, and I'm going to have to say farewell to him. Mostly because I can't fit an actual mountain in the co-pilot's seat, so had to leave that behind. But yeah, this is NGC 6357, which is finally no longer a procedurally generated object. We are 8,000 light years from home, and finally we are starting to see some real objects. I think the last real object that I saw prior to that was Sagittarius A. But apparently, according to Wikipedia, NGC 6357 is known as the War and Peace Nebula because it looks like a dove and a skull in different locations. But anyway, it's onwards, homewards. I can practically smell the French fries. Or maybe that's just what a hyperdrive smells like when it starts leaking engine oil during refueling. And of course on this trip, there was a lot of refueling, there was a lot of hyperspacing. But slowly but surely, I may cross the distance. I cross the giant gulf between the stars, occasionally landing on planets to perhaps mark my territory by venting my fuel tanks, much in the same way that a dog might do. But this spacecraft is obviously a spacecraft and not a spacecraft, not a dog. In fact, it's named after an asp, which certainly isn't a dog. And then finally, we make it to Longsight Base. Longsight Base was to be my first port of call back in human space. It was the home to the elusive engineer Elvira Martuk. She personally tuned my frameshift drive to make it propel me further across. And I wanted to return, regaling her with my stories, the things I had seen. But of course, old me is the best one to tell you about what happened. Gone. Okay, so we got this external lights. Request docking permission. I will certainly do that. Do not want to mess that up. We are 50,000 light years since we've landed anywhere. We do not want to mess this up. So unfortunately they've given me a landing pad that's facing the wrong way, so I'm going to have to turn around. And I'll just do this. I'm basically going to do the power slide maneuver where I kind of slide, I strafe to my right, yaw to my left, And eventually we end up in roughly the right position, ready to very carefully put it on the pad. Very gently, because we don't want... Oh wow, wait a second, I'm way out of position here. Going to go that way, and I also should probably work on getting my altitude to the... Oh, wait a second. No, 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 no. Oh, I forgot how the gravity on this planet is a lot higher than I'm used to. Oh, oh my goodness. I almost crashed it there. Bold Space Explorer, 50,000 light years, crashes on return. That would just be, that would be a story worth telling. Oh, okay, but I have so much exploration data. The exploration data would not have survived. At least I don't think it would. Maybe it would. Maybe they've changed that behavior. Okay. Proceed to landing pad. Very gently line it up over the middle. And... Bing, 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 bing. Come on. Gently. Hold me down. So that I may discharge my exploration data into your data banks. Oh my god, that feels so good to be home at last. And I'm surprised the repair bill is only 4,000. I didn't bring an AFM with me, so... yeah. Let's start selling the data. So, one of the reasons I went here first was because Elvira Martok will buy exploration data from you, and it will increase your standing with the... Oh wow, 1 million! Including 631,000 just for visiting Sagittarius A. There we go. Congratulations, Commander Scott Manley. You are the first to discover all sorts of things that are hidden by that spinny standby thing. Please, can you stop standing by? Oh, Blue Thua and Janua. Okay, so let's see what my status is. Yes, grade 3 access. So let's start selling. And thankfully New Me can return, because we're going to edit this. Not only is flying and discovering all this very much a very, very slow process, but actually selling the data seems to take an eternity. What with the standby spinny thing just wanting to continually spin in my face and say, hey, you gotta stand by. You are the first to discover all these places which I barely explored. Cliowal. Engineer's Workshop, finally! Grade 5 access, Elvira, you love me. Even though you still look like that. You know, Frontier, perhaps you could change these avatars so that they smile more when you've got a higher grade access. Anyway, increased FSD range. I need all these things that I don't have. I have arsenic, apparently. Chemical manipulators, data mined, all that stuff. Now I still have exploration data left, and the other engineer that apparently will accept exploration data is Felicity Farseer. So of course I paid her a visit, but the thing that I really wanted to see most was a new feature that was discovered on the surface of a planet in the Pleiades sector. You may remember the Pleiades is where all this alien shenanigans have been going down. Well, it turns out there have been some bigger things found. There was a live event done during September where the players had to find various characters and interact with them to get clues as to where things were, where something interesting was. Of course, they had to play in open, and the first thing that somebody did was destroy the actual commander, and so they had to come up with some contingency plans. But after a bit of clues, looking around and scouring the area, somebody stumbled upon this location here. In Pleiades Sector ABW B2-4 9A, there is a canyon. And inside that canyon lies perhaps some evidence for things to come. Here I am, zipping down the canyon, and then, as I look down, something appears on the ground there. Something that does not look like the usual rocks and debris that we find on the surface. And of course, it annoyingly would happen to be night when I went here for the first time. But given that it's elite, you pretty much have to wait, you know, whatever the rotational period of the planet to get more light. So I gotta get in close. Gotta get in close with the little rover. What is that there? Well, we don't really know. What it appears to be is some sort of crashed object that does not look like the angular shapes or the machined curves for human-made ships. This looks like it's made of shells, like something organic. Now, the obvious conclusion is that this is some sort of alien wreck, perhaps the remains of a Thargoid ship. The Thargoids were in the first Elite game, and then they disappeared, and then they appeared at the end of the main quest in Frontier First Encounters, but in Elite Dangerous they have steadfastly remained undiscovered. They have been thought of as rumours and nothing more. But the suggestion is that they are coming. And this is our first real look at them. Assuming they are Thargoids, of course. So it's actually kind of hard to land near it because the rocky landscape just isn't particularly well suited to large spacecraft landing. Of course, I am flying an ASP, which is not the smallest and lightest. But look at it, it looks like a giant bug or something. Look at these shapes, these textures. And there's also some music that kicks in here. I'm not sure if the music is specific to this, but it looks like the object knocked up a whole bunch of debris as it hit the ground at some speed. Now, of course, when this was found, everybody went and looked at it. Of course, I was thousands of light years away, but people went in and they used the debug camera to actually, combined with photogrammetry, to actually like do 3D analysis on the object and get an idea of how big it is. It's definitely bigger than my ASP, but it may not be as large as some of the spacecraft, the human-made spacecraft in the game. Look at it though, that fragment stands over my SRV. So yeah, if you are going to visit this, it's probably a good idea to go during the daylight. You'll see a whole lot more, get a much better impression of what's going on here. Now, of course, this is still a mystery. Players don't know how this is related to the unknown artifacts or the barnacles, and there's also a Galnet news article talking about the Martian relic, an object discovered on Mars something like 700 years ago and kept under lock and key by the federal government. We'd like to know what they know. But after travelling thousands and thousands of light years, I decided I wanted to hang around the bubble for a while. And instead of exploring things, I thought, let's shoot some things. This is my newest spacecraft. It is a Vulture Space Superiority Fighter. It's generally considered to be one of the best combat ships you can get for NPC killing. It is a small hull, but it fits 2 large hardpoints. And in this case, I decided to put pulse lasers on it. I want to have something that can basically just keep killing. And that's what I did, because I thought, let's make some money, let's make some enemies, let's make some wreckage. So I just kind of float around hazardous resource sites and hacked navigation beacons and basically kill things. Also, some of the targets drop material, which is kind of useful for, for engineers. I've tuned this one up a little to give me some more speed and a little more power, but it was using just grade 1 upgrades. They weren't that important. Ned Kelly! Slowly getting burned down here by my lasers. The big problem here is that the lasers weren't hitting continuously. Oh, and he's deploying flares or chaff. Too late, though. I even got involved in some combat, fighting against the Federal Navy as they tried to take control of a system that I thought should be kept free. Sometimes it's fun to shoot the big guys. Federal Navy ship. Look at it. Oh, look at the stuff spraying out of it. That's kind of cool. 4% hull. Come on. There we go. Finally, 44,000. And let's move and put some distance because I have no shields. Oh, incoming missile. Crap. Engines, shields. Oh, ow. Faster. Oh no, incoming missile. Who's shooting at me? Not good. Trying to dodge. What? Oh. Thrusters offline. Boost failed. Oh crap. I am essentially a sitting duck now. Incoming missile. Brace for impact. Oh wait, no, it didn't hit. I noticed that I'm moving at 398 meters per second, so because he shot out my engines, I have no control. It's not slowing me down, so I'm basically probably moving at close to my near maximum boost speed. And I don't think he's keeping up, but I'm going to deploy my chaff just in case. I'm pretty sure I'm pulling range on this dude now. Flight assist on and off is not really making any difference, although apparently I've lost some speed by doing that. That is dumb. So, let's check my modules. Thrusters! Power is there, 0%. I can't repair them because I don't have an automated field maintenance unit. An automatic field maintenance unit, AFM. Those let you repair modules when you're in the field. So how do I get out of this situation? Well, turns out there is a self-destruct option, but there's also a reboot. The equivalent of, have you tried turning it off and on yet? Right? So we turn it off. And everything starts going. Look at the info messages. Processing, injection success, FTD, whatever. Shuts offline. Come on, baby. You can do it. You can do it, baby. One module repaired. So what you'd get is 1% back. Anything that's 0% comes back online with 1% damage. There you go. So you can get out of these situations without an AFM, but you are a sitting duck. You have to be able to survive. But anyway, in the end, I survived, and that's more or less what I'd been getting up to. All the video footage I recorded of Elite Dangerous. Very much looking forward to the 2.2 release dropping soon, sometime in October, and possibly some more information on the Thargoid story. And until then, I'm Scott Manley. Fly safe.